This conversation is going to kick off with Mr. Epelle, who's the CEO and founder of TAF Africa, and we'll also be having Emmanuel Olowu, who is the Executive Director of Socio-Economic and Civic Rights Advocacy. Gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for joining us this morning. Mr. Jake has already soothed us, saying that Mazino is this guy, Joe is this guy, I'm this girl. I haven't seen him in a bit, but it's good to have him on. And of course, Emmanuel, we've spoken to you through the course of the week. It's great to have the both of you here. While I'm the first girl, I'll just let Mazino start with the first question.
Well, if you meant ladies first by that, I'm not very pleased with you, Queen, but it's okay. Mr. Epelle, let's talk about this. The history behind the Osun politics is a very interesting one. From being declared governor to, well, that being taken away from 2 consecutive governors, if I'm not mistaken, the off-cycle resulting in that, as we see us here today looking at an off-cycle election that's 3 years outside of the ordinary. What can you tell us we should look out for when it comes to the votes today? Are we going to see a situation where this might also end up in court, as we've seen in elections from before? What do you think, Mr. Epelle?
Well, let me start by saying that Osun is not just choosing a governor today. It is Nigeria that is putting its electoral system on trial. This is one of the most important, if not a consequential election before 2027. And so what happens today in Osun determines what will look like the picture of what to come in 2027. So it's very important to take into cognizance what makes for a true electoral integrity, electoral processes, and outcome. Hopefully, the politicians will let the people choose whosoever that they want. So we are monitoring TAF Africa. We're deploying 150 observers across the country and across the state. You will say that that's a far cry, taking into cognizance the over 3,000 polling units and over 30 local government councils that we have, local government areas that we have. We are a little bit strategic in terms of our deployment. Of course, our deployment also includes 25 sign language interpreters. We were very strategic, but very, very, very cautious in our deployment strategy, because we deploy based and guided by data science. So we're not deploying everywhere. We're deploying where we know there are clusters of persons with disability in disaggregated manner. That means where we know there are persons with albinism, persons who are blind, persons who are deaf, Down syndrome, small persons. So we're guided by data science in terms of our deployment. And so that is why we have that number, which is not a very large number. But we're also interested in what happens in other polling units, so that we'll be able to do accurate reporting, not only for stations like yours, but also for our funding partners. You know, so it's going to be a very interesting election. Accreditation, I'm sure, has started, and where it has not started, it will soon begin. Of course, we will have vote counting, electronics upload, collation, and eventual declaration of results. All of this will tell whether we are actually learning from previous election. On paper, there are reasons for caution, optimism. So we have just about 1.9 million voters that are eligible to participate. Voting is expected across 3,763 polling units in the 30 local government area. INEC has deployed beavers, technology, and substantial backup capacity while an extensive security architecture has been put in place. There are figures that we're hearing, in some cases 25,000 or more than that. But the elections are not judged by preparedness on paper. They are judged by the experience of the voters, whether it's going to be credible, whether they'll be allowed to vote. And of course, the media will play a critical role in this election. I like the barrage of media outlets and reporters across the state. And by the way, I'm not surprised. My good friend Akintemi and his team, and all my girls on set, and boys and guys on set, you guys are making us proud because you're bringing real-time reportage to the homes of Nigeria. You are part of a democratic process. And what would happen without the presence of the media? So we therefore have to watch whether polling officials and materials will arrive on time, whether beavers will function consistently, whether voters can cast their ballots without fear and intimidation, whether the security will play their neutrality, vote trading, whether vote trading will happen without stock exchange.
Stock exchange. Mr. Epelle, Mr. Epelle, I want to jump in there and talk about something that you talked about. First of all, thank you for the laurels that you've awarded all of us here at News Central. We try our best. But, sir, let's also talk about the fact that you spoke about democracy. And I want to talk about the currency for democracy here. Osun State has had a very interesting history with litigation. And litigation is a democratic tool, whether you like it or not. If I'm disputing the outcome of an election, I should take it to court instead of resorting to other means, violence or other sorts. But here, litigation is, while it's a great tool, we also see it's disturbing certain dynamics when it comes to electoral processes. It ends up in court. We no longer decide the governors from the polls. It doesn't seem like the people actually have their votes count. Now they turn to courts. And this has happened 2 times, and it's caused very interesting dynamics to the processes inside of Osun State. So I'm wondering what your take is on the fact that while litigation is a democratic tool, at what point does it become unhealthy? Or does it work to strengthen democracy?
Well, that's an interesting question. By the way, I just want to say that I am not here alone. I have my team, and everybody is in this polling booth and trying to make things happen. And I'm so blessed that I have two lovely ladies, all of them getting ready for this process. But let me say to you that I am concerned about the role judiciary and some form of unhealthy interventions that we find in our judicial system when they meddle in a democratic process. That's very disturbing. For instance, the late introduction of these candidates, which is his right, though, but could it have come a little bit earlier than when it came? I know that someone will argue with me that justice delay is justice denied. But then there's a saying that the time is always right to do what is right. That said, I think the judiciary needs to be a little bit proactive and circumspect of their role, because that introduction have disrupted this process, whether anybody likes it or not. Let me sort of like give your viewers some analysis of the implication of that very late judicial pronouncement. Take, for instance, the entire process, the entire printing of all the electoral materials with the name of candidates by INEC was totally discarded, absolutely thrown into the waste bin. Money gone down the drain simply because that pronouncement came late. INEC had to go into a panic mode of reprinting all the materials. Now, it doesn't stop at that. It also affects logistics because they will print, package, and then transport. And that's why many of them did not sleep yesterday and day before yesterday, as soon as that pronouncement was made. So you find a situation where a lot of money will be spent, transportation, trying to push for the deployment of these materials. And of course, INEC staff overworked because they have to go into what it takes to distribute those materials. There's assurances, though, that the materials have been properly disseminated and that it will not disrupt the process. That's an assurance that gives confidence to the process. However, nobody is sure whether that is absolutely correct. Although, in fairness to INEC, they were honest enough to bring in cameras. And so we saw on television the distribution of these resources, but hopefully what happens to this morning would further validate whether it is true that these resources have been distributed, and not just distributed, but distributed to where it is needed this morning. So if the polls opens at 8:30, as they have assured us, then we know that they have done a good job. And if this happens, this will be a thumbs up for INEC because it shows they are prepared for crisis management. It would further instill confidence in the electorate and in the process. And of course, we will be here to talk about it and give kudos to INEC if we have to, but also kudos to the process because we are looking forward for credible election.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Epelle. Now, Emmanuel, as a voter this morning, let's leave the politicians aside. As a voter this morning who's going out to vote, what would you say the issues are? What should they determine before they vote this morning? Can you tell them that, decide and think about these issues before you fix your fate?
Well, it is good morning once again.
Morning.
What electorates should determine, number one, electorates should not be blind about who they are voting for. Does the person really have the capacity to transform their lives and to transform the life of the state? At this point, everybody should leave aside politics, but everybody should be more considerate, put more consideration over their life and their existence, because when a bad leader come into leadership, for the next 4 years, their life will be on a pause. So that is why we have been telling the electorate not to collect money from politicians, to take the right decision that is expected of them on election day. That is that. Two, our organization has always been telling party agents through our social media campaign that for us to have a perfect election, we must also ensure that we put the beavers to test. So part of what we have told people is that when they get to vote, they should make sure that the beavers has a zero accreditation before they are going to start making accreditations at the accreditations of electorate at the polling unit. So these are the two areas, and we have also made people understand that after their votes, if the environment is secure, let them wait, and after that, let them move from the polling unit to the collation center to ensure that their votes are being protected.
Right. Of course,
Thank you.
Emmanuel, this election, of course, has generated different conversations from, the former governors down to, the present governor in terms of, personalities. Now, would you say that, the personalities in Osun is overshadowing the issues in Osun State?
Yes, when you look at Osun State, I've always been saying it. Osun State is a state that is of people who are politically conscious. And everybody, virtually every electorate electorate and those who will be coming out today has already pitched their tent with a particular candidate. So in this election, personality matters. Who is your godfather? Who is the person that brought you into the race? So a lot of consideration. A lot of people claimed that APC, that former Governor Oyetola is the one who had introduced the candidate of the APC. So it's a personality on his own, while the governor itself, people looked at it that he is from a dynasty that wants to hold on to power and continue to control the state. So a lot of indices and personalities are put into consideration in this election.
Well, Emmanuel, the governor is saying that Governor Adeleke is asking voters to judge him for the 4 years he has been in office. What measurable indicators should we use to determine, if an incumbent deserves another 4 years?
Now, you see, the dynamics in Osun as we speak is this. For over years, a lot of people have not experienced, a lot of citizens have not experienced the kind of roads network we have got during the time of Ogbeni Rauf Aregbesola. We have seen a lot of bridge constructions, but the kind of flyover that is being seen in the centers, and there are a lot of communities, rural areas, where roads networks have been constructed, which a lot of people are happy about, who are farmers, that whenever they go to farm, their products get back to they are able to transport their goods. So he had done his best that he could do, and the people themselves are so delighted with him on the ground that he had made them see what road networks should be, connecting the state to the local government, connecting roads together. This is one of the best thing and best program of the governor. So a lot of people, and there's something I've always been saying, when providence is with you, a lot of people developed love. A lot of Osun people developed loving him. They appreciate him, and that is part of the grace the Adeleke himself is enjoying as we speak.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Olowu. I'd just like to let the viewers know that what you're looking at on your screens now are actually live feeds from Ejigbo local government in Osun State. We have our correspondent, Ololade, who is there and will be bringing us details of what's happening. But we can see that the voters are already lining up. It's very early, and it's very encouraging to see that there are people out there already. One very interesting thing to note is that when it comes to the number of voters in Osun State, especially those PVCs that were collected, the majority of them were actually collected by women. So that's also one of the indices that could decide who gets to be governors today. Who exactly do they appeal to or for? You talk about maybe the market women. You talk about perhaps maybe the fact that these are people who are in the civil service, but women are a big consideration for the elections today, as well as students and people who are within the age gap of 35, if I'm not mistaken, to about 45, or even earlier than that. So we'll be talking about all these dynamics. But one very interesting dynamic I want to talk to you, Mr. Emmanuel Olowu, about now is the level of influence that each of these candidates bring. Let's take a look at the first three, the big three. And I'm talking Oyebamiji, I'm talking Adeleke, and I'm also talking about Najim. First of all, for the APC candidate, let's note that he has that federal might behind him. Whether you like it or not, there is that influence that brings to the table. The APC is also trying to reclaim Osun State, trying to remind people that this was our state before and we did very well for them. You spoke about that when you talked about Aregbesolah's influence while he was governor as well. But speaking about that influence is the fact that the ADC candidate is also sort of like is also influenced by that previous APC stance that they had over the state, because he also served under the governor back then, Aregbesolah. So there might be that influence is bringing into the ADC this time. And the most interesting one is the Accord Party candidate, who's the incumbent governor Adeleke currently. Now, how much of the PDP structure, the PDP, by the way, are not on the ballot this year, but how much of that PDP structure and influence would he be bringing to the polls? So, Mr. Olowu, do you think, or what do you think about these dynamics? Mr. Olowu, while you're thinking about the answer to that, how these influence will work into today's polls, I want us to talk to our correspondent, that is Omolola, who is in Ejigbo local government area, and that's where we're seeing these visuals from.
Yes, Omolola, good morning. Can you give us an update what's happening there? From the visual we can see we have elderly people come up very early to vote. Can you tell us the materials getting to the place? Do we have the INEC officials there? What's going on?
Yes, we are presently at, Ward 4 at Unit 4 in Ejigbo Local Government, Ward 10, Unit 4 in Ejigbo Local Government area. And as you can see, many voters are already out to cast their vote. However, not any INEC official has arrived this polling unit. Many of them have just come out to stay here and, to wait to cast their vote. But when we were coming, before we got to Ejigbo Local Government area, we had gone to other units like Egbedore and others. Many of them are out. Some, have their INEC officials ready, while some others are still waiting like this. But here in Ejigbo Local Government area, there is, many people are outside here waiting, but no INEC official has arrived. Good morning.
Morning.
You're here to vote. Can you look at the camera, please?
Okay, this camera. My name is Karim Joyolade.
Karim. It's it's almost 8 o'clock and no INEC official is here and you're ready to vote. What do you have to say?
At least people have been here since the morning, but we've been waiting for the INEC officers, but we've not seen any one of them.
What time is the vote expected to start here today?
So I think it should be 8 a.m. 8 a.m.
Almost 8 a.m. and no INEC official is here. So what's your expectation about today's voting?
So my expectation is that we are expecting the INEC to do the right thing. So that means our votes should be counted.
Thank you very much. I'll move to another, voter to hear what our opinion. Eka Roma.
Mrs. Soyede Mitemitopen.
Ó yẹ kẹ́ dìbò lẹ́ni àmọ́ ẹ ti àwọn èèyàn ti jáde àmọ́ àwọn INEC official wọn ti dé kí lẹ rí sọ sí.
A ṣì ń retí wọn báyìí. A ṣì ń retí wọn. So we are still expecting them and we know they will eventually come.
But voting was supposed to start at 8, and it's almost 8 o'clock. None of them is here. What's your reaction?
We are still going to wait for them until they come because we know today is today.
Thank you very much. So many of them have said that they are ready to vote, that even though the INEC officials are not here, they are going to wait because they got here as early as, some of them have been as early as 6:30, 7 a.m. And they would wait until the INEC official, the ad hoc staff arrive here. And, they are pretty optimistic that they have voted. They will vote today and their vote will be counted. It's back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Omolola. I don't want to let you go just yet. I wanted to ask about Ejigbo itself. As we know, Ejigbo is actually the hometown of the ADC candidate, and that is Najim Salam. I'm wondering what you have tested when it comes to the people's preference there. Do you see a tilt toward this candidate? It's a very interesting LGA because this is the first test of the entire election, whether it's between Aregbesol's old influence or Najim's current influence. So what have you seen from the people? Where do you think their inclination lies?
Yes, like you said, Ejigbo is where the ADC candidate is. In fact, we were added to his own polling unit now, but we thought to stop over here. So I think many of them are going to, they said they are going to vote for him because, of course, he's from here. And with the backing of Aregbesola, like you mentioned, many of them are going to, focus on that. Use that as a backing to vote for their favorite candidate, which, of course, from their hometown, from what I gathered from them.
Thank you very much, Omolola. We also have Ni Omoniyi, who is in Ayedade local government area. Ni, good morning to you. Thank you very much for joining us this morning as we observe the Osun gubernatorial elections. Please do tell us what it is you have noted today from Ayedade. I hope I got that right. LGA. Do correct me if I'm wrong, Ni.
It's understandable. I was also corrected in terms of the pronunciation once I got here. This is Unit 4, Ward 6, St. Michael, Ayedade local government area. And even coming from Ede South, one of the things we have observed is that INEC officials had gotten there as early as 7:13. But let's quickly speak with the presiding officer of this place and even know how many registered voters we have at this particular unit. I'll quickly. Good morning to you. Please, how many registered voters do we have here?
We have 739.
799.
I think.
39.
Yeah.
Around 37. Around what time did you get here? And is everything you need here?
Yes, we have everything we need here. Yes.
What about?
Yes, it's around 7 o'clock. 6:30, 7 o'clock. That's when we have been here.
Okay. What about materials for persons with disabilities? Do you also have them here?
We have everything here.
You have everything?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. Just as here on the part of INEC, they are ready. I'll quickly speak with some of the electorates we have on ground. Ekaro, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Oh, awesome. Since when have you been here, and once you got here, what did you observe?
I've been here about 30 minutes ago.
Okay.
And since I'm here, I can see that everything is peaceful. We are all preparing for the election, to which I believe that it will go well. No problem.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, what about you? How many police officers did you see on ground when you got here? Was INEC here when you got here, and what time?
Okay, I'm here for about 20 minutes to this time. The INEC and the party agent and everybody are on ground, and the atmosphere is peaceful. Right. And I believe it will be peaceful throughout. Right. And victories will be awesome in Jesus' name.
Amen. Thank you very much. And let me move from the males, so you don't think it's only the men that are here. We also have the women, some of them even aged, that have also left their homes this morning to come here. I'll speak in Yoruba and I will interpret in English to them. Mommy Karoma. Mommy, Erika bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ọmọdún mélòó ni tẹ̀fi ní ẹ̀fọ́ ẹgbọ́dọ̀ dìbò lé ní Erika bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ọmọdún mélòó ni yín náà?
Tó ogún márùn-ún àti méjìlá.
Àwọn tó gbọ́ Yorùbá jù bẹ́ẹ̀ kí ni ẹ jẹ́?
25 years.
That's 100. 125. 125. Inú oṣù kẹta ló pé, that is March. Mọ́mì, kí ni ìdí tẹ́ ṣe sọ pé èní pẹ̀lú bẹ́ ṣe dàgbà tó yìí ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ wá síbí wá dìbò lénìí?
Ẹ̀yin náà lọ́mọ mi. Wọ́n ní tá a bá dìbò, wọ́n ní lọ síwájú ni. Ńjọ́ tí wọ́n ti ń sọ, mo ní bí n bá ti kú ilé tó mọ́ ń kọ́. Wọ́n ní ò lè tí ì kú. Ikú ló kù tí ń retí.
Hello, so just as Grandma said, she's about 125 years old, according to confirmation of what she said in Yoruba here. And she decided that she would vote irrespective of anything. What if she doesn't wake up tomorrow? That's her statement. Let me speak to more people. Mommy Ejekabere. Yes, ma. Omodumelo ni ma.
Ọgọ́rin ọdún.
Ogórin. Ogún mẹ́rin. That is 40. No, 80 years. Mary. 80 years. Kí ni ìdí tẹ́ ṣe sọ pé léni ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ wá pẹ̀lú pé ṣe dàgbà tó àwọn èèyàn máa rò pé àwọn ọ̀dọ́ ló yẹ kó tún wà níbí? Kí ni ìdí tẹ́ ṣe sọ pé ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ wá léni?
Mo ronú pé kọ́mọ mi ó lè dá lẹ́yìn ọ̀la, kọ́mọ mi ó débi gíga. Ọmọ torí ọmọ ni mi ṣe wá lónìí, torí kọ́mọ mi ó débi gíga kó dépò ńlá ni mo ṣe wá lónìí.
I'm sure if I go through this reel from 125 years old to 80 years old, I'm sure I'll get even deeper and steeper ages here. This is an aged woman who have decided, she mentioned that she's here because of her children, and because of that, she has to cast her votes today. Let me try to get someone younger. Let's see if we can speak to someone younger. Uncle, sorry, we must stop enjoyment. Okay. Kí ni ìdí tí ẹ ṣe sọ pé ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ dìbò lẹ́nu àti pé àtìgbà ọlẹ́ ti wà ń bí?
Mo ti wà ń bẹ̀ látàárọ̀. Ìdí tí mo lè fi wá dìbò lẹ́nu àwa náà Ọlọ́run jẹ́ ká náà débi gíga. Torí à ń pèsè rí olórí báyìí ni Ọlọ́run jẹ́ ká pèsè mí náà lágbára Ọlọ́run. So ìdí nìyẹn mo dẹ̀ jẹ́ ọmọ ọgbọ̀n ó lé méjì, that is 32 years. Ọjọ́ orí mi lẹ́nu.
Ọ̀pọ̀nbélé ni ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ̀rọ̀ nípa àwọn tó ń ṣe nípa INEC àti kí làwọn kan tí ẹ rí nígbà tẹ́ dé tẹ́kọ̀ọ́ dé.
Okay, everything is going in good order.
All right.
And inú mi dẹ̀ dùn lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ because on many places there is no love, there is no anything there. But now we are sharing love together. So there is nothing there, there is nothing bad. So I really appreciate Nigeria, and I really appreciate the state of government of Osun.
Thank you very much. Well, I can go. We have different cadres of ages here, from the young to the old, from 30 to the highest, which is 125 I've seen so far. They've been here, they're waiting, they want to cast their votes. They don't want to be disenfranchised. And some of them have various reasons, from voting because of their children, some voting because of their future. We keep moving to other polling units to give you updates.
Ni, I wanted to know, I like the spectrum of people that you spoke with, the aged and the young, and yes, you did interrupt that guy's enjoyment. But I want to know what these different demographics of people, what their preference are. Have you been able to find out what the old people actually want from their next governor, what the young people actually want from their next governor, what the influences are from these different demographics?
Well, let me not speak for them because I have them here, so why speak for them? But I'll ask one more person. Mommy, kí ni àwọn ìwà àbí ìṣe tí ẹ fẹ́ kí ẹni tó máa jẹ́ adarí yín kó ní kẹ́ tó lè dìbò fẹ́ni náà?
Rere ni mo fẹ́ fún o, mo fẹ́ rere fúnra mi sì fẹ́ fún náà. Kí orílẹ̀-èdè kó jọba, mo fẹ́ fún. Kí gbogbo òtúbà kó tú sẹ́. Nǹkan dé gbogbo wa lọ́rùn ni mo fẹ́.
So gómìnà tó bá lè ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ẹ máa dìbò fún. Adarí tó bá lè ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ lẹ máa dìbò fún.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
According to her, she's saying that someone who is going to let there be peace in the land, someone who creates good economy for the land, that is the criteria she will use to cast a vote for the person. I don't have... Okay, Mommy. Kí ni àwọn ìwà àbí ìṣe àbí nǹkan tí ẹni tí ẹ fẹ́ kó di gómìnà gbọ́dọ̀ ní kẹ́ tó lè dìbò fún?
Tọ́gbọ́lọ̀ ni.
Ọpọlọ.
Ọgbọ́lọ̀ ni ọpọlọ. Ọgbọ́lọ̀ ni ọgbọ́n. Ọgbọ́lọ̀ ni òye. Àti ìbẹ̀rù Ọlọ́run.
All right. Well, wisdom, knowledge, and of course character. Those are the criteria she feels whoever she will vote for as a leader must have. Back to you, Mazido.
For that, I'm actually just enjoying hearing different dialects. It's just very exciting to hear from the aged women there. Of course, we will come back to you during the course of the day to find out how the voting is going. Now let's go to our other correspondent, Mercy Babajide, who is in Ede North. Right, Ede North is the Governor Ademola Adeleke's voting, or rather polling unit. Mercy, go ahead and give us an update. What's happening there? Is the INEC, are they present there? Is everything set to commence the voting?
Good morning to you there in the studio where we are at Abogunde Compound Unit 9 Ward 2 of Ede North. And the total number of registered voters for this polling unit is 1,082 people. And contrary to the opinion that people will not come out to vote, I'd like my camera guy to pan and show you the crowd present here. We have every presence. And still the fact that we still have opposite us another polling unit is quite overwhelming, but then that's not just the catch. Earlier on, we saw the attendance book. Right now, the security personnel are signing the attendance book. We also have seen APC, AAC's party agents present. But then let's take one from someone here. Ekaro, sir.
Ekaro.
Yes, sir. Esumami, Emma Bonrisa. Ekaro, sir.
Ekaro.
Báwo lẹ ṣe rí ètò ìdìbò báwo lẹ ṣe rí sí láàárọ̀?
A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ Ọlọ́run, a rí pé ó ti ń bẹ̀rẹ̀ dáadáa báyìí, ó sì ń lọ ní ìrọwọ́rọsẹ̀. Ọlọ́run jẹ́ kí ó lọ báyìí títí di ìrọ̀lẹ́.
Okay, sir. Ìgbà time wo lẹ dé bí láàárọ̀?
Mo ti wà níbí báyìí láti 6 a.m.
Well, we got here around 7:30, and when we got here, the place was filled up already, and we are, of course, had INEC agents doing their jobs. That's not the catch. The heavy presence once again, because I'm sure everybody's concern was voter apathy because of all the threats going on. People were scared that most persons will not come out. And then something peculiar to note also is the inclusion. We have aged people here who I'm going to be panning to. It looks like the voting exercise is about to start. We currently have election observers, security personnel are present here, and those are the INEC officials, of course, doing their job. And then signing their attendance register is one of the election observer for the Osun State gubernatorial election. And something to note too is the fact that this is Governor Ademola Adeleke's polling unit. This is where the governor is going to be exercising his voting rights. The name of the polling unit is Abogunde Compound Unit 9 Ward 2 in Ede North. And once again, the number of people we are expecting here will be 1,082 for this particular polling unit. Then opposite also, we equally have another polling unit where I would be moving to see what is going on there. Sorry, excuse me. We have another polling unit just across the governor's polling unit, and we have to find out what is going on. Ẹ káàárọ̀ sà. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́ kí lorúkọ bí sà?
Orúkọ bí ni
Kí lorúkọ bí sà?
Sagbe Abogunde Ward 2.
Ward 2 lélẹ̀. Okay.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Okay sir. Ibẹ̀ ni gómìnà ti máa dìbò àbí?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Okay, kí ló dé tí wọ́n fi ní polling unit kan opposite another one?
N tó fà ni pé ibi ìpọ̀ gan congestion máa wà tí a bá ní polling unit kó tó bí mẹ́ta, kódà mẹ́ta gan ọ̀ká wa gan, torí pé ibi congestion máa wà torí pé àpọ̀ gan, àwa náà la fẹ́ pọ̀ jù.
Okay, okay. All right, ṣé ti múra láti dìbò?
A ti múra, a ti ṣe tán láti dìbò.
Okay, all right. Ẹ ká béèrè lọ́wọ́ ẹlòmíì. Ẹ káàárọ̀.
Ẹ káàárọ̀.
Okay. Kí ni báwo lẹ ṣe rí ètò ìdìbò yìí sílé ni?
So far so good. So far so good. The atmosphere is relatively peace, even though we are having a slightly disagreement within the electorate, but with the intervention of stakeholders and people around, as you can see, everything has been resolved, and we have been enjoying a relatively peaceful atmosphere.
Okay, what was the issue? What was the issue?
The issue is that there are some people that said we should give time for the aging one, elderly one to vote before the youth, and there is a little disagreement between the two, and with the intervention of stakeholders, everything has been settled.
Okay, when it comes to every presence of security, do you feel secure in this place?
Yeah, so far so good. Although we are about to commence, but there is a level ground for the security operative. We commend them for that because we have been enjoying the equal treatment as at this moment.
All right, thank you very much. All right, I'm going to find out what this polling unit is called. Emma Binomomi. Good morning. I'm trying to find out the polling unit code, which is Unit 7. We're in Unit 7, and the registration area code is 2 for Ede North. We're still in Ede North, and it's just opposite the governor's polling unit. We just spoke to an elderly man, and he spoke about the fact that the crowd here would require over 3 polling units, and you can see the crowd, of course. The INEC official is addressing the people because they had a disagreement earlier on, and they were saying they want the elderly ones to, of course, vote before the young ones to enable them leave early. Now let's move back to the governor's polling unit. It's still in Abogunde, and it's just like I said earlier on, it's just opposite each other. Okay. And we would interview some persons. I think we have an electoral observer. Good morning.
Not an observer.
Okay, you're not an observer. Good morning. Okay, what are you here for?
I'm not here to vote, though. But I just came here with my boss.
You're here to what?
I came here with my boss.
With your boss? Okay, to do what?
No, I just carry him come here. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Well, we have everybody here on ground. He didn't come here to vote. He just came here to observe, even though he's not an election observer. Let's take another interview from someone. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma'am.
Okay, please, what's your name?
Olaboye Ajao Yekini. Olaboye Ajao Yekini.
Okay, sir. What are your expectations from this election?
My expectation is that this election will go smoothly, without any problem.
Okay, can you shed more light on what the environment looks like right now?
The environment is very full, and the electorate are running out just to exercise their rights. So.
All right, thank you very much, sir. All right, well, you've heard from him straight, and the process is still ongoing. I'm trying to figure out what they are doing there. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry. Good morning. Okay, I think we still have the vote, the attendance for the polling agents. I can see polling agent for BP, for another party called A. We've seen them sign, and then we have election observers also. It looks like the election is about to commence at this particular ward, which is the governor's Governors Ward in Abogunde area of Eden North, Ward 2, Unit 9 in Eden North.
Well, thank you so much, Mercy, for that update. Of course, we will follow up. Like you mentioned, the voting is about to start. We also want to thank you, Nii. Of course, we will still come back to you and find out what's happening at your polling unit. Mr. Epelle and Mr. Emmanuel Olowu, thank you so much for joining to have this conversation. Of course, we know that you will join us back at 11, but before we let you go, Mr. Jake, let's start, Mr. Epelle, rather. What would be your take? Any final word based on what you've heard from, our correspondent and the voters so far?
Well, it's a very interesting scenario that is playing out. I've always had this confidence, implicit confidence, that Osun people are very politically aware, and that is playing out despite all the security challenges and the fear, some intimidation in some quarters, that we are seeing through the lens of your camera, the very high turnout in those polling units of voters. That's quite interesting and worthy of note. So, Andrew, that's quite interesting. And sorry, my colleague was raising his voice. So that's quite interesting and worthy of note. It's also important to underscore another layer of test that I have in mind, and that is the test that I consider very fundamental, which is inclusion. And I'm happy that your reporter has reported that the presence of persons with disability and inclusive resources, hopefully they will be used, because that's the problem. There's always a distinction between what happens in INEC headquarters and INEC rec office, state headquarters, and what happens in the field. Though hopefully there would be true inclusion, and the resources of inclusive resources will be put to use. I'm also very happy to see the presence of older persons, very, very, very interesting older persons. And I'm sure women, and of course, we heard the voices of persons with youths in polling units. And that's very good. And I hope that it will play out in other polling units where we have their presence. Like I said, TAF Africa is guided by data science. We're deploying based on where we know there are presence of persons with disability. And that's because we are working with very scarce resources, including INEC, who they don't have a huge budget for inclusive material and having issues of inclusion in all the polling units. So we've identified the polling units where these things will be, these resources are needed, and those are where the places where it will be deployed eventually. So let's hope for a better election. Let's hope for a better outcome. Let's hope to see that the political bigwigs, especially those of them from Abuja and other states, will allow the process to play out as expected. It is very unbecoming of some of these governors leaving their states. Yes, you should go and show of support to your brother governors when they are going to when they face their electorate. Yeah. However, it is very wrong for some of them to start making very unnecessary rhetorics and what looks like a mocking of the other candidates. And I'm going to be very particular to say that it was very unfortunate that the governor of Edo State will reduce himself to mocking his fellow governors.
Well,
that's not acceptable.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Epelle, for your input. Emmanuel Olowu, do you have something to say before we round up this conversation with you?
Yeah. If I'm to say anything, what I would just say is that electorate in Osun, everywhere they are, if they are listening to me, let everybody go out in mass to cast their vote. It is their vote, it is their right, and they should not let any institution disenfranchise them. Like I've always been saying, on election day will be peaceful. As at this morning, we have never heard of any gunshot anywhere. So it's an indication that all what has happened in the past, it is just a means of scaring people and to automatically disenfranchise them from casting their vote. Electorate, wherever you are in Osun State today, go out and cast your vote for the candidate of your choice. Thank you.
Well, Emmanuel Olowu, thank you so much. And Mr. Epelle, thank you for joining us to have this conversation. Of course, Mr. Epelle will still have you in the hour of 11 o'clock. So till then, we'll talk soon. Thank you so much, gentlemen.